Alright, somebody saw your Ghana Nina saw Ghana atata. The Oshana say Asumdie Ebeba BAWKU. Nasa Asumdie Ebeba BAWKU. Nay between two parties. Mamprugu and office of BAWKU for and a year himself Asumdie Ebeba with him. Enra, Otumfuo for Nasa too. And the reports no Ekokoma His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Nemo Mamprugu for hine na yiri. That's what I say. Reports were dear. And that's how I'm with the course. On you 2 more. Ye, I have gossip 24. O send this scanner to moi, a be ye to send this car to that send up on a cell. O send this ye, o share video from Canada, o send this ye, o share from US, o send ye, o share from Australia, o send ye, o share from Europe, o send this car to that send a bagana ha ye, o share from UK, o send this car a bagana ye. Nina through that send app near available App Store. Any Play Store, very simple. Or download the app on your phone so area. Or send this Canada way use reference code J24 already. That's why a free 30% a number 1. So it was on the 1st of December 2025. And our so 2 and the president made trouble from Malaysia Palace say, "Was she kusasi for penny for?" I just saw my heel for Eddie Mubai and my lawyer for no spokespersons account by. No, where shall my pussy for some penny for? I just saw my almost my heel for and no penny for no my lawyer for and no my customer for Eddie Mubai. No, we need you come on. I just a mediation now, Cosso. No one is a parties me and now, or be I ready. So I pray asumdie ama asumdie aba BAWKU honomo because asumdie na ehwe enti in the coming days no on the report no ebeka to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama enim our Flagstaff House Jubilee House it's here on the 16th of December 2025 and opim so too for nase to ekopemu our Jubilee House ho I say His Excellency John Dramani Mahama any Vice President Madam Nana Opokwajima ena etena ase any penny for ahemfo Peace Council National House of Chiefs in penny for any other religious leaders ebe piem wo hono mu ina ate wono mo ana open so to for na say to say report here in coordination His Excellency John Dramani Mahama nsem direct now so no de hye ni nsem na so obekan a anhwe no maka say oh His Excellency John Dramani Mahama je report no enye no aba bekan no my editing into ono ankasa Otumfuo na say to the second epesa o kan report no na Ghana fo nyina ehwe bi intend opem so hye say all kind no and no hye free history and the 1956 1957 1975 1983 1992 1996 ebaya 2003 2023 and the Kaka press release ebaya and the chair send come arrest obi ni the Kaka hu na o arresting the Kaka opem so cheni na mu enti o mo starting mediation no oton safre parties me ni na say the beya o betumi atena so no medi nkobo intend BAWKU na aba ebe piemu adisode the delegation omo ye kusasi for ebe piemu ewo honomo honorable Cletus Avoka eka ho saa so ena oto nsa e different maposifo epenifo na yiri oda maposifo ano de wetumi amba na mom no Osman nkofo tubafo mo ba Malaysia Palace honomo
on Mr. Saidu Abakari. As I indicated from the beginning, I was requested by the new Patriotic Party government to mediate in the matter. President John Dramani Mahama, who assumed office on the 7th of January, endorsed that I should proceed with finding an amicable resolution to the current situation. The parties in this dispute have willingly submitted themselves to the mediation process. The BAWKU Naba Sigiri Abugaragu Azoka has accorded me enormous respect and personally led his delegation at all times to my palace whenever invited. My brother, the Nairi, has for very good reason, sent a delegation of his elders and sub-chiefs at all times.
No mo go through mediation no. Ene de ono apem so for na say to chira. Okache Nairi enkrofo no. Ade so me Mamprugu for no say. Hwe asem de asem no kra to sebe. Munjai e makusasi for no. And chusi omo hene no ndi omo ade e wo BAWKU hono because emranema hokwan
that I have requested him to come. They all express confidence in the process and believe that we will be able to work towards an amicable outcome. I started my engagement with my brother the Nairi by appealing to him to magnanimously recognize the position of the law that the Kusasi should rule themselves.
But upim so a proposal na yiri no edit to n'anim no and they say as long as say on betumi recognize say ono na the traditional owner of ancestral lands no there only problem.
After careful consideration, the Nairi made some concessions but gave some conditions for my consideration. Essentially, my brother the Nairi wanted the historical acknowledgement of his ancestral ownership of the entire land that now constitutes the BAWKU traditional area. He acknowledged that the Kusasis have come to largely occupy that area. Both Kusasis and the Mamprusis who are now occupying those lands are his children. He observed that as a result of
problem. What I say because at the end of the day no Kusasi for no any of my BAWKU ina no omo ye ne ma omo ye ono na yiri no emma nti we pe ena hu hia enya say bia or concede because say be omo Mamprusi for no omo ye weak debi.
Interest of coexistence, peace and human dignity. My proposed solution and concessions is premised on the request from Your Royal Majesty that I cede part of my jurisdiction in the BAWKU traditional area to the Kusasi tribe, with the hope that a lasting and enduring peaceful resolution of the BAWKU conflict will be achieved for all parties. The Nairi has been clear in his mind that his decision to make concessions has been a difficult one, but added that, nonetheless, guided by ancestral wisdom, commitment to peace and respect for Your Majesty's tireless efforts, I have chosen the path of conciliation, not out of weakness, but as a testament to Mamprugu's strength, dignity, and unwavering commitment to the well-being of all communities in the BAWKU traditional area.
Now, Opimso, every day reports no, and I can say, na yiri no, I just want them Mamprusi for no, and the proposals be etunim. Now proposals ne be and say, I was a BAWKU, you know, no, or to me admit it, some panisenia, and you know na yiri no. Also to me admit say ampa omo se semi me semi ka kusasi for no ehye omo Mamprusi for no ase.
The Nairi outlined a set of proposals which form the basis of engagement that I have had with both sides with the hope of finding a common ground. If a common ground emerged, it would enable them to reach an amicable resolution. With this historical understanding, I have impressed upon the BAWKU to acknowledge that at one time or another, the Nairi exercised traditional authority over the area that now constitutes the BAWKU traditional area.
And Otumfuo, Opimso to for say too. Eba be chemu say, no crest or history money idea at a point no. Na they say, na yiri no, and they choose in nipo obedi adie. Ewo BAWKU, which in this case BAWKU na abano. Na yiri na at a point o choose. Na BAWKU na abano so e choose sub chiefs no. But emrano assessor.
Records has it that at various times the Nairi enskinned the BAWKU Naba, and the latter then enskinned the various sub-chiefs in the BAWKU traditional area. It is this state of affairs that the Kusasi challenged since 1957 until PNDC Law 75 was passed in 1983. The passage of PNDC Law 75 defines the resolution of the situation in BAWKU.
Eteni Opimso to for say twitcha. Okay, o mediation mo e kire na yi ni se hwe emra no. Won to me san so nko back enko to me. Nti e be ya mo ngintum na Kusasi for no. En choose your mo here e wo BAWKU for.
I have as well impressed upon my brother the Nairi that current realities make it more pragmatic that we accept Kusasi rule over the area. With the passage of PNDC Law 75, the coming into force of the 1992 Constitution of Ghana, and the ruling of the Supreme Court in Alhaji Ibrahim Adam Zambego versus Aninchema Abugrago and Attorney General, it will be untenable for anyone to hold that Sigru Abugrabo Azoka is not the BAWKU Naba and exercises jurisdiction over the entire Kusasi area. The Supreme Court shuts its doors to anyone seeking to have the matter revisited. It is important to note that PNDC Law 75 was repealed alongside several laws and enactments by the Statute Law Revision Act 1996, Act 516.
Now, I see another thing, and I hear a proposal here to honor Opimso to finance it to no. And they say, okay, another thing, so they say, in Kaya Pensa Sinibi, or they say, towns Libi or Honoma, Yapesa Muba Beshe, Mamprusi for no.
presented by him to me. Essentially, he asked for a number of towns in the Kusasi area to be transferred to him to Enskin. The impression created was that those towns would prefer to be under the Nairi essentially. The request was to have some of the towns brought under the jurisdiction of the Nairi.
No, penso Otumfuo na say to chira. Oni ahimfo ni bi edidi nkomo. Ehun se asembia enhye da ni ho potin a betumi ama e ka se okay. Yen fa sa nkrowi enkonko hye Nairi no ase. Do Nairi ne making sa request.
I decided to engage the chiefs of those towns. After meeting the various chiefs of the towns and communities affected by the withdrawal of recognition following the implementation of the Governor General's White Paper in 1957, on the recommendations of the Afari Committee, the withdrawal of the recognition occasioned by the NLC Decree 112 and PNDC Law 75, I have come to the conclusion that there has been significant reconciliation among the various Kusasis and Mamprusis in all the other towns. BAWKU was mentioned in the proposed terms of settlement of the Nairi as one of the towns that the Mamprusi wanted to be given to the Nairi. Unfortunately, the law as it stands now makes Asigri Aburagu Asoka the lawful chief of BAWKU, and so it is impossible legally to do any such thing in this mediation exercise. On the question of BAWKU town, I have taken the position that the established tradition since 1931 thereabout is that the person who is BAWKU Naba has the entire Kusasi area. By law and the declarations of the Supreme Court of Ghana, Asigri Abugrago Azoka is a BAWKU Naba, and there cannot be any rival residing in BAWKU claiming otherwise. I have impressed upon my brother the Nairi to accept that recognition by law in appreciation of the enduring brotherhood that has existed between our two kingdoms in order to ensure lasting peace and eliminate the national and international security threats that my brother himself is so concerned about.
The Otumfuo Otumfuo na say to say, throughout the mediation ya dey ina no, omo bebe jina baby a chese ono e ka e say he de ebetumi ayenie. Say, papa a friend Abagari, a chese mrebi his essence another Kukufuado former president emreso mo enskine no as BAWKU hine and as BAWKU Naba. Emma omo ka say sa enskiment no illegal. Enti omo call court ekokwaji a restaurant and komo do be chi sa Abagari no na omo anche no ye ka ewo mediation we mu say obi antumi arrest papa no na mom ma ho kwan na yiri yesro ma ho kwa papa no mpawedi ne ho so ye BAWKU Naba because BAWKU Naba de ono ani azoka no.
I have been candid with my brother the Nairi that the purported enskinment of Mr. Seydou Abagari as BAWKU Naba cannot stand. I believe my brother the Nairi has come to terms with the difficulties that will pose to achieving lasting peace, which he desires. I have, from the inception, restrained both governments from effecting the arrest of Mr. Seydou Abagari out of respect for my brother the Nairi.
As how media recognizing no. Name say about critical Abagari no. Ubetumi ama another role. Ewo Mamprusi traditional council no. And answer say BAWKU one or person otina as a normal citizen.
The final resolution of the BAWKU matters requires that Mr. Seydou Abagari be recalled to Nalerigu by the Nairi to be reassigned to play another traditional role at the palace of the Nairi assisted by the state. Alternatively, he may choose to stay in BAWKU as an ordinary citizen of the community, but not to pose as BAWKU Naba.
Enti, se sa betumi asiso dia na or recommend e dia ama aban no. Se aban no recognize azoka no as BAWKU Naba.
The final recommendation, Mr. President, I recommend that my brother the Nairi accepts the laws as presently constituting Asigri Abugrabu Azoka as the chief of BAWKU and head chief of the Kusasi traditional area.
Kopim say ombeye sakra e 1992 constitution mu anasa kopim say Supreme Court asema otena so no obe review.
Asigri Abugrabu Azoka is the lawful chief of BAWKU and the paramount chief of Kusasi traditional area. He has been a member of the National House of Chiefs for about 40 years He has been duly gazetted. His right to rule should not be disturbed, save through a judicial and constitutional recognized process, and which, as already indicated, appears, if any, a review of the pronouncement of the Supreme Court of the Republic of Ghana, stated herein.
Apem so has okay, man no read the report and say, or recommend this is obi bia obema ne hoso e wo BAWKU, so no here BAWKU na aba, other than azoka no. The
government must enforce the laws and deal sternly with any person challenging the lawful authority of the Abugra Asoga. This is critical to the restoration and maintenance of peace in Kusasi traditional area.
I want to also say, say, report way no. Recommendations the woman no. Almost also plan say, on my reconciliation. What does it? On the Peace Council, near him for no National House of Chiefs, lawyers, parties, both parties, but national go through reconciliation process. Now, reconciliation process, or what to me, who said, a man for way 2 will move near there. I would consign to Kawi. But, or testing what test no during mediation process, who say, it won't come back to me up a strategy be. I'm uncrofford the way to have a back. No, ma'am, or mamma will sick. Meet
them again. We set up a mediation process where we would reconciliation and everything. The way things have happened, where the Peace Council, and then we nominate some lawyers from their side, from each side, and others. So we form a committee to go through that. Then we start a reconciliation process. Whilst talking to them, I realized also that arms and everything were there. And all those, I spoke to them. I think we can find a way to get them to go and find a safe place for them to go and leave it. Maybe an appeasement of some 500, going, not by the...
But okay, say, on peso be to me, baby, I say, oh, reporting na ya editing, and the assistant baby or reporting, and a reporting, and this ain't no one or so too for nothing to out na mediation. Or kind reports no and the actually we are seeing and sana or the actually His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
So now it's up to you to implement what I have said, Mr. President. I wanted to read that because I didn't want it to come from you, for them to charge you that you've changed the report. So
it's your pim so cast hano okoko national cyber no so aka asem baako wo also honorable Cletus Avoka no see mediation nasibi on behalf of Kusasi for no can say me of course Samuel obi anim say legally no legitimacy and as nipa also ye BAWKU na aba no Kusasi ni no oyo hene azoka no on also adidi say no but any so honorable Cletus Avoka no can say bia ebe inciting the other parties, which in this case no Mamprugu for no and now say Nayiri of Mamprugu no say na asumdie na omo hwehwe se beba BAWKU no entumi wie pesa.
I just want to clarify. My brother, my son Cletus Avoka is here because he has to be very careful in what pronouncements he made publicly. It is not right. It's a dicey situation. We are all trying to make amends and get people to move together as brothers and sisters. It looks like he's making various pronouncements and all that, which wouldn't endure to the peace that we want. So please, I wanted to, if he was here, I was going to tell him, but the message will get to him. I invite him and tell him that we've gotten to a state where we all have to find peace. Then BAWKU Naba is the BAWKU Naba. The law is on his side. We agree to that. But you don't make pronouncements on radio and everywhere that will incense the other side.
No, I'm so too for Nasset too. And then I know this means by we a pay. And a page be a friend of Voice of Mamprugu. Ebe posti letter. Na page letter will be posti yeno. Then there's a letter no. If we no other than Nayiri. Na Bohugu Mahami Abdullahi Shebiga. I just saw no. And I am Mamprugu for a hene. Letter if we in the horn a buy. Na letter na SC 17th of December. On pese omo kase na yeri no rejected mediation reports no any attempts by government enforcement. Say recommendations na opumsoto for na say to. Ese ode to aban ni no. Aban ni be atum or rejected. Nesem yetia. Say ono opese o kase mediation reports no opumsoto for na say to the second. and the buyer over BAWKU chieftaincy dispute no enya de omo Mamprugu for no omo jitu mu e be ye na we who report no mu nsem ne bi na why disappointed papa say report of him so to for na say 2 year and the comma His Excellency John Dramani Mahama nie and of him so as why report and recommendations hey a disappointing no enya asem ketwa otie dia course on 16th of December 2025 no look how I shocked na the shock away yi na no and say up him so to for na say 82 what I say the recommendations are the buy no and reflecting engagement omo Mamprugu for anaso no na yiri no any opim so have ye throughout the mediation so and reflect back okra and reflect what I say reflect inti no hu die nti a ojutuma egege what to be gentle point number 1 the to to be gentle no and say the dikai and containing ade bia eye valid say ebema asubie aba BAWKU honomo na procedure ne kura na omo follow ye throughout this mediation no eye flawed procedure they to so me dey ti o ka say flawed procedure ne say dia opimso to for na say to aba be present no akwa yet say or pass judgment meanwhile obetena asem no mu so ye mediator one betena on mu so ye semdifo and they be we aboni kro na we aboni kro no the judgment aba debi o just here onto oje to manya ye onto me gisa report we any recommendations into akwa say judgment enye mediation and no na ye no ohu say opem so to for na say to eye ne sa no die to so miensa and they say the mediation team no omo making a lot of formal requests. What I say? Omo making a lot of formal requests. But emo biye ni one more. And omo di ye adwuma throughout the mediation process. Emo biye ni ho. Ni to so nine and they say opeso obisa say mediation ben and ema inipa na otimu say otie afane afa asem no matter to agene e man nipa na kwan or say I am compelled to ask what manner of mediation permits a mediator to unilaterally reach determinations and call for their enforcement without affording the parties an opportunity to be heard on the reasoning, views or proposals underpinning such determinations. Also so pemzoaka say why recommendations say obi bi obe carry no ho as BAWKU na aba aside azoka no omonche no obi bia na eba ne say 2 years a wa bra omontie bi no omontumi ato agene ojitu mani ye o say at no point and opemso invite parties no omo Mamprugu for and afesu kusasi for say bia recommendations inye na modwe ho sen omo invite omo mabeka say so omo invite obi a and dey na omo Mamprugu for no and as a Mamprugu for no mo nka ho o say at no point were the parties invited to engage with, comment on or respond to the conclusions said to have been reached. If any deliberations occurred, they were conducted entirely without the knowledge, participation, or consent of Mamprugu. Point number 6. And also, some mediation reports, no, I was saying reflective positions of parties, no, say bia omoka asem ekodi saying why ne can dey, why ne requested dey any ade, but entumi antre bibiasa. Because I did a dialogue, we cannot we aka. But report the antre biasa. Akwa sen papa kon kwan or person can dey. Maybe omo too many. What I say? I had to say there what a reflective mediator on the personal opinions which in this person say opinions so too for now say to new opinions, any recommendations, any decisions, and or person imposing on parties. No. And no more negotiate. Baby. Yes, I say, wow, abandon mediation rule. No. ɛna wabɛfa te sɛ deɛ ɔyɛ judge role ɛna wabɛtena asɛm no so only jurisdiction biara sa. Or say to do so, point 8, or say to do so is to abandon mediation and to assume an adjudicative role for which no jurisdiction exists. Now, recommendations now what reports no. I'd say BAWKU for determination and or there, but without any due process. No, we'll go to. And for these reasons, you know, on your own say, our recommendations on which to many year say now, Obi Pejan who on channel and Mamo. And you almost to net and you to much. No, maybe no. I want to say reports no are full of inaccuracies. Are full of obi adin, and a baby favor one party. And I will say up him so who ye ain't see and all can say or no other kind of. I said only imagine saying His Excellency John Dramani Mahama de Kanya. Up him so kind, you know. Now you see, on a dear reporting of him so kind, you know, or when they say, just one party narrative, and on what so, and it's our recommendations when you now in favor one party. I'll say the report is replete with factual inaccuracies, personal assertions attributed to the mediator, and a manifest imbalance in favor of one party's narrative, while most entirely omitting Mamprugu's case. Nobody else will state say, be anyone or no, na no throughout the mediation process, or just to must say, or be recognizing obi as BAWKU na ba. One jam to move be throughout the mediation process. It's a name for our more Ghana Hania man on the say, or what say, and na yiri, walk jatuma on you to move. Now, they step in say, parties no are no more mediation national. I am Mamprugu for any kusasi for no. On way to near Mamet Sinemubi, wabra no more kind report we. Into your bisa. Say, I didn't know Mama Mohokai. No way to near Mamet Sena reports no reading Nasibi. And now, so way to be answer my drink or reports anymore. Eh? No way to be answer my or reports no recommendations and send nobody reports in echo. On way who find our work. No. So I can't say why you betrayed and disappointed in what. And yet the right words. What I say? Oh, you deeply hurt. And no crown I understatement. Or say to say I felt betrayed, disappointed, and deeply hurt would be a grave understatement. Say I dear Makai. We do we betray no. And no crown and yet the right word. Hey, I see no hey. Why disappointed? Now statements in the crown His Excellency John Mahama de Baye say reports now him so to for say to the Shen and Sano. Oh, so we did a report back 24 hours or the Nigerian chamber about reports no. And no crown you dangerous one na you know. When you alarmed say His Excellency a report in the 2 months. On can say be obey see or we no masimple no say within 24 hours. Ish. And no crap putting a man who quite more intended to watch your letter. Now, say His Excellency John Mahama, if follow reports when he more recommendations, no, now some penny apart 24 hours, no, or the actions be back and share some Monzanka. Or say, I am further alarmed by statements attributed to His Excellency the President, suggesting that government intends to issue a definitive position within 24 hours based on this report. Such an approach, respectfully, will not advance the peace we all seek. Or catch a president, no, say onto the boss, no the parties in Asia, including of him so too for Nasa Junakasa, or no in Asia, answer. Or the decision Yaba, and yes, I assume you know Moishano or Monsanka. What I say? Because reports there's all shame content now in favor of Mama Pussy for no, and you're unfair and unjust to them. We do too many years. So we pay assume here. So yes, I report we no me follow. Now on Tenase, say nkofo bi be planning. No man can say your mediation. No man can say to madwene. No more the report, your recommendations about. Hey. NC. And I make point 20 or say, I will not remain passive in the face of what appears to be a carefully orchestrated process conceived long before the commencement of mediation and designed to prejudice Mamprugu. Me na me kind. What na iri na neka? I just say, what's a gophobia from what game before mediation? They did no matana see our plan no mashada yes and mediation. They be beyond or to me. Now not even see. Also what see our reports no muridi anymore. Say opim so to finance to e kan say or concede and there they be not even an inch of omo ancestral heritage, you know. Omo fa inch impo mobi, not even an inch of our ancestral heritage, you know. And on bedania mo omo dane bi an fa mobi. Especially through say be a planet on person with him na be NC. Or cambium say mediation on mo koye no. Omo to me agree on anything any on a deadlock. So omo pay me here. Omo didn't come out time, you know. Omo pay me here. Omo to me agree on anything. Consensus be any omo reach here. Into omo what I say. Omo making a lot of effort. Send omo to me again. Omo to me reach baby. No more make peace. But anytime there instead of war cry His Excellency John Dramani Mahama through Otumfuo, I got on him. And my His Excellency Energy say, oh, man, pussy for you. Move make effort. Now so effort no make it in it, you know. Now kusasi for no. And that's why Jina baby omujina. I won't make any attempt on the middle ground. No more so to me share or Mamprugu for no. It's not mediation by the custom. And in a deadlock. What I say? It's a new say, Obeka say, and we go to mediation, home now, Alternative Dispute Resolution Act 2010, Act 795. Now, I say, let a lawyer for the tray. Let a lawyer for naturality. A lawyer for naturality. A lawyer for naturality. Intimidation follows her act, no, or would you to one, any or no dear, or no as na ye, no, or can. So no name Mamprugu for no. Ombeko so some be prayer sumye. Nimum, some ma sumye ba through injustice there. Enya possible. Or catch a Mamprugu for Nina, so be uncle so prayer sumye. So on castle be anye debi obi uncle so no be and dim raso. Nimum no. So mo pa sumye. Why you ready? Say obemo wa sumye. It was search process no a transparent, a impartial process. Omunina to me share no more tenase. It go through recommendation, maybe be our reports anymore. Omune president ni share, including opimso to for nasa to nakasa so. No more to again. And yes, dear, I report to moon sem no. And the moon, and yadom with the bayeduma and ne, and the yeduma ochina. Or say, I shall engage further with Otumfuo and with the government of Ghana and will issue a comprehensive statement in due course. Into we know, and because what say His Excellency say, or the decision by within 24 hours, it's not the letter we ba. Name no. On your pimsu Otumfuo Nancy to Bekasa. On the Ghana by no His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the Kitastia and Bekasa. On your Mokaseria. Or the comprehensive statement until then dear on jin tomu so be fufu bi BAWKU naba and on jin tomu so no akasa ne de share alhaji say no so entumi nya BAWKU naba no or the this year there so mo pass on bia or mo go through process no transparent and fair. I go 624 obey me achewade or comment section no. Me ma didn't me nya didn't bia. Hey, na me dream va. Me nya me se ro me pass ma me nya didn't bia. Magraheb.